Hi there, welcome to part 2 of Small TVs, and please welcome back our historian, TV historian, Andre. Welcome back.
Good to be back again, David.
So, let's go.
Well, let's go. What have we got here? It's a rather big ghetto blaster. This was in the era when CRT was still going and everything was about big, chunky ghetto blasters.
So, colour TV was in, it's just that you couldn't get it.
Yeah, this was made in the 1980s, believe it or not.
Oh.
So, early 80s, and the best we could do here, obviously, in that time, is to have there's a big television set that we could make portable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ran that on batteries, you'd probably get about half an hour out of it.
So what, the old D cells or something would have been?
The old D cells,
okay.
yeah. I think it took about 15 or something. And
So now you'll probably see this in like a rapper film clip or something. But back in the day, who would have bought this?
Well, anyone that wants that sort of a gimmick, I suppose. Everything was about big, loud sound back in those days.
Because I had one that didn't have a TV. It was just audio only, but it was just, as a youngster, it was just great to escape to your room, to have your own sort of entertainment system.
Absolutely, and if you're walking down the street with that, well, they must have thought you had a lot of money because very few people would do it.
And this has inputs, so you could plug a turntable into it.
You could even put your CD player or even your iPod could plug into that through the headphone jack, so that is possible. It has a cassette player, which is on the end there, so that was the big thing.
Yes.
The sound wasn't too bad, AM/FM radio.
I just have to point out that some cassette players, I can't help myself, some cassette players you put the tape in that way, and some you put in vertically. But it was
right.
it was usually where
the buttons were closest to the heads and everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was something that was very sort of big in its day, so to speak.
And a carry handle.
And a carry handle. It weighed a ton. Try and pick it up.
No, I won't. But I think people used to walk around the streets with them.
Well,
on
I'll tell you what, you get a pretty sore shoulder pretty quick with that. So.
And what sort of money would this have?
Would have been into the hundreds.
Yeah, okay.
$500 probably in its day, and
fair enough.
Sort of look at it now, and it's really just an interesting piece of history.
Absolutely, yeah.
So around that time, other things were coming out. Now we got here. This was like a bed-sitter clock radio. Mm-hmm. So this was revolutionary for its time. So as you can see there's a little television, but when you'd finish watching TV, you'd flip it up, and it would become a clock radio.
And that's National Panasonic.
National Panasonic made that, yeah. So that was about the early 80s as well, probably about the same era as the TV we've just seen. Okay. Would be a bit earlier, which is the earlier sort of 70s. Yeah. So there was a few manufacturers competing with these sorts of things. I actually have here another one, which is Sanyo, which is a similar sort of thing. Okay,
now I think we've got some advertising blurb for this one.
We have, yeah. This was about same thing. It's got a cassette player, has all the bits and pieces, the radio. But again, it was sort of more about portable sound.
And I also think the styling cues here, to me, look military. I could be wrong. It almost looks like
it does a bit. It's a bit of a different look. It has a very thick aerial and all that sort of thing. But you could plug VCRs and things into these as well, because on the back they have an option to put an external aerial in.
So let's just go through it. So it's got a TV, AM/FM tuner, tape deck,
cassette deck,
and two woofer and a tweeter. For the audio,
so the sound quality was pretty good. I'm not going to actually explain it here.
Batteries? Run on batteries?
Yeah, another 12 batteries in the back, which D-size, so it would run... Well, look, most of these, like this one and this one, they could run on your car battery, and you had like a cigarette lighter adapter, so you could do that, but not really portable, not very practical. So, it'd be $20 worth of batteries, and you'd probably get a couple of hours. So... to make things more competitive, I got even smaller and brought out this little TV. This is made by Sanyo, and as you can see, it's getting very compact. Still not pocket size, but it's still a CRT. Now, because it was so tiny, they gave you a little magnifying glass, which made it like a slightly bigger area. So you can sort of see there, it's a
bit gimmicky. So what era is this?
Early 80s.
Okay, so I mean, I can imagine if you're in Tokyo in the early 80s, this would have been, one of those tech gadget.
You look at the size of it. I mean, to have that, it ran on 5 Penlight batteries, so you'd get a couple of hours out of it. But I mean, really, could you watch something on that?
No, I couldn't.
No, black and white, very poor definition. Well, it was a clock radio essentially. It has a clock in it, and it has an AM/FM radio, and the TV was the big selling point. So it was just in that time when things were gimmicky. So of course, that's that size. So being competitive, National Panasonic brought this one out, which is even smaller.
Wow.
So as you can see there.
But they're probably going in the wrong direction, really.
Well, they probably would, but look how small that is. Yeah. Now they did again give you like a magnifying glass there, which you could slide on the front.
I can feel the eye strain from here.
Now, does that sort of remind you of
It
something?
does actually. Well, it does because these are vintage pieces, but it's a segue into broadcast.
Precisely.
So this is off a digital Betacam, but that's a black and white.
Yep, and that would be some 20 years later probably that was made.
I guess so, but the CRT started on the the TK76, and then the form factor hasn't really changed. But
so if you think about it, that's really a viewfinder inside here.
I reckon.
Which is the same tube virtually, except they've got a prism to make it an eyepiece. And if you have a look, it's very similar in size. So the CRT would run down inside there.
Well, because that's got a tuner in there.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
This is only a TV set with a UHF VHF tuner.
Okay.
But that CRT would be exactly and very similar to what's in there.
Okay. So may I just indulge just as a bit of trivia? So there's another TV there. So this is the Sony PXWX 500 XD cam that I use, and I still use a black and white CRT viewfinder on this camera, and this viewfinder is still in the Sony catalogue.
Yep.
And I'm quite comfortable using a black and white CRT viewfinder because they're very sharp.
And obviously they thought that when they made these little TV sets.
Yeah.
So that was sort of an interesting time when they brought those out. So, of course, what was the next thing? Colour. They wanted to have colour. So Hitachi brought this particular model out. This is a colour version.
Wow.
So it was sort of, that again was sort of in the early 80s era.
That's amazing.
And again, they had a radio in there and a cassette player and all those sorts of things. So you had the rabbit's ears antennas on the back, but you couldn't plug any video feeds in there or anything like that. So it was sort of
you would have drooled over that in the department store.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you could put your cassettes in there. Wow. You could actually record the sound off the TV, I guess, if you wanted to do so.
Okay.
But again, 5-inch colour screen, that was something pretty amazing to have that back then.
Absolutely.
So that was another interesting era of technology. So, of course, Sony came out with something even smaller. It was all about Walkmans and bits and pieces. So here's the Watchman.
Wow.
So this is what I would say is a very interesting TV set.
I think I remember that.
And this one has what they call a flat screw, a flat picture tube is probably what I'm trying to say. So it actually sort of was lying flat, so the conventional picture tube was sort of reflected up inside it.
But I think that takes its design cues from a portable two-way radio as well. It's that's what it looks like to me.
I think it does, and it was all like this. When you look at the size of these things, they're getting smaller, but again, so it's black and white.
But the other thing too is now with, it's a pet hate of ours, is people taking video on their smartphones holding the phone vertically.
Absolutely.
But you can sort of see they thought about things like that back then. It was a very natural way to hold a TV or something.
So this was part of the Walkman family, being the Watchman. So they brought out a couple of different sizes, but this, to my knowledge, would be about the smallest one. And again, this is in the 80s era, so pretty amazing that they made that, and that would run for a little while on battery. So it was still a CRT in its form. The other one that I have here is it's a larger version of it, but this was sort of more same sort of design, a picture tube, but this was more for like security systems.
Okay, but that's not a CRT tube though.
It is a flat CRT.
Oh, okay, right.
So this was sort of the same thing. It sort of reflected up.
So is that a camera at the front as well?
No, that's just simply a monitor, and you could actually put video into that.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Again, black and white, not colour. So of course, that was that size of things. Now, then they got very sort of interested in trying to get LCD.
Yeah.
So then the LCDs came out.
I forgot a brochure for that one.
Yes.
Is it that one?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is actually the TV21, but that's the 30, but there's not much difference in them. But this one, it's LCD and it's only monochrome. But because of the backlight problem, it actually needed the daylight to come through to reflect it on the screen. Now, back when television was developed, back in the, we're talking 30s, 40s, the TV sets used to mount the picture tube long ways with a mirror because the tube was so long to make the set more compact. Well, that's almost the same sort of thing in an LCD sense. You've got the light coming through to reflect the picture off the mirror.
And I guess, because that's a Casio brand, and so when I was younger, Casio was more well known for calculators.
Yeah, and clocks, timing devices.
Okay. So they had a dip at making TVs, but...
That's right. So they sort of came out with this, so that, you could slide that in your pocket.
Okay.
That was pretty small. So that was sort of, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they came out with this one, which was the first and smallest LCD colour that I've ever seen.
Yeah, right, okay.
Now, this one isn't going at the moment because I haven't got anything feeding into it, but that is a small, tiny colour LCD TV.
Okay.
That would pick up most televisions. So, pretty innovative. And then after that, we were still using, if you remember,
Yeah, of
VHS.
course, yes.
So, this machine here
Oh, wow.
it's not in the best condition, but it's a laptop VHS. And this is a very early form of a laptop. If I can get the button undone there. Like so. Sorry about that. Right. That's the LCD monitor there, and the VHS tape. I've got this powered up, will go in there. So you can actually record off-air television onto VHS or play something back. So this is a very, very early version of a laptop.
I reckon that would have been quite popular too. And
Well, there wasn't a lot of them around, but I mean, the fact that you could actually fold that all up and watch TV and record it on location was something pretty amazing.
And if I had to guess, I would say that would have been quite a status symbol in business class on a plane. You could actually bring your own movies.
It'd be
as
first
well.
class. Yeah, well, that's right. You could
Okay.
watch it, but I think you only got a couple of hours. But it took a standard VHS. So that's really...
Oh, that's good. Well, there was another thing that we didn't talk about. It was probably just a technical thing, and that's the channels. So we had, or the bands. So we had started off with VHF, and then
and
UHF. Okay.
Yeah.
So
a lot of these are VHF, although some of them are UHF compatible.
So in the day, so if these TVs were coming out of Japan, I guess some countries were both. Is that right? So is that why they had the option on the TV? So it depends where they were dispatching them.
It just depended on the country, what they were transmitting at the time. Australia generally had VHF, but when they started getting fringe areas and when SBS came along, that was
well,
the
it's
first
funny you say
one
that
to use
because
UHF.
I'm sure on behalf of a lot of baby boomers and Generation X, I still like to refer to SBS as 028. So
yes, 028.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now this box here, so this is just while on the
That
UHF.
is a converter, so that would make UHF and it would down convert to VHF. So if you had an older TV, say let's say one of these, like this clock radio here, you could down convert UHF to a VHF channel that you could tune into, so you could get the VHF channels. We only really had one for many years, and then Channel 31 appeared, and as I was saying, some of the fringe areas had repeater transmitters and used UHF. So it sort of had its uses, but not a lot of people bought them. But if you did have a UHF requirement, that's what you'd have to have to convert it.
Okay, great. All right, well, look, I think we'll wrap it up there. That's a pretty amazing collection, Andre, and thanks for coming on board.
There's a lot of stuff here, so it's just very interesting to see how we've progressed over the years with the CRT.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Andre, for dropping by and showing us all this stuff, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Camera Peeps, and Andre will be back with more of his collection, so thanks for watching and see you soon.